What's going on, everybody? Mezariah here, back with another video. Before we start this video, I want you guys to please like, comment, interact with this video, spread these videos to edify people all over the world. Um, I want to get into something really important, and we we talked about judgment, and we've been talking about judgment for some time, but I want to reiterate how important it is to know God during judgment, because for people that are receiving bad judgments, it's going to be a lot to process when you start to realize that God is actually real. You know what I mean? That's a lot to process. I remember growing up and really having the fear of God, of the things, or being convicted of the things that I did that I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing, and it would terrify me when I did things, and I would think of how God may have felt about certain things. And it's going to be a lot to process when you are seeing the effects that you may not even realize in the moment that it is judgment. But when you start seeing all these catastrophes take place, and when you start being in the midst of these catastrophes, it's a lot to take in when you realize that these things have come upon you because of your own ways, and you don't realize it. So it's a lot for you to have to take the accountability to reflect, to actually understand that there is a world beyond us that God lives in, that He looks through to watch and monitor what we are doing with His, along with His angels. And I think the whole concept of God being real is a lot. It's a lot to take in, especially for people that never actually knew God. You know what I mean? Or to some extent, to some degree, or they've never been taught or given the knowledge. And it's like, dang, like certain people out there don't really know God, and when they get stuck in certain situations because of what is coming to this earth, it's gonna be a lot for them to take in. And I've been there, even with me knowing God to some extent. I've been privy to things of my own personal life where I felt like I knew God to some degree, but I still felt lost. You know what I mean? And I think it's important for us to try to get to know God. We should all be in a point in our lives when we want to truly have a relationship with Yah. It's really important because 2025 is a year of things just coming to an end. A lot of things are just starting to brew, and they have been brewing for years now. And if honestly, this is no offense to anybody, but if you haven't been trying to look within, to fix yourself, to change things around you, to look at another perspective, to understand the things that you probably once didn't agree with or understand, but now things have been, you know, opened up to us in a way that we can't deny certain things. You know what I mean? So all of those things that you probably thought were conspiracy, and those things that you thought weren't true, most likely 99% of them are true. And it's backed by the Bible. It's backed by God. It's backed by the things that He shows and reveals to us in the spiritual realm. And we have to prepare our hearts for stuff like this. And it's too many of us saying, "No, it's these things aren't true. These things are false," and a lot of people are mocking stuff like this that we tend to talk about. And and it's quite pathetic, honestly. I ain't gonna lie, because it's like, how are we still in this place of ignorance? You know what I mean? um but then you have those people that have a lot of knowledge, right? And they don't really apply the knowledge. It's funny, a lot of people want to get knowledge just so it can boost their ego, and this says it in First Corinthians, that knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. So basically, you can get as much knowledge as you want and knowledge as you can, but what are you doing with the knowledge? Is it boosting your ego? Are you only using it for debate? Are you only using it to try to humble somebody? Are you applying it to your own life? And what are you doing with it? What else are you doing with it? Are you sharing it? Are you trying to help people understand? You know what I mean? So it boosts your ego in some regard. You know what I mean? The more you know, but with that knowledge, we're supposed to apply it and use it with wisdom. And a lot of us aren't doing it. So, for example, you have a lot of people that are religious and they understand religious things and they understand the knowledge of God, but it's like they only use that knowledge to help themselves when we are talking about, let's say, some of the Hebrew Israelites. I know that I'm an Israelite. I know that I'm from the tribe of Israel. I get that. But a lot of Hebrew Israelites want to argue. They want to uh, use the knowledge that they required and puff up themselves. And instead of actually using it to build their relationship with Christ, they use it to condemn. They use it to find fault. You know what I mean? And a lot of Hebrews really don't be knowing what they talking about, and I'm just being real. But I've seen it a lot because what are we really doing what are we doing to build a relationship? Are you praying? Are you interceding? Are you fasting? Are you having dreams? Are you having visions? Are you giving to the poor? Do you see what I'm saying? And these are things that we should be experiencing as believers, as reborn believers. God says that He will pour His Spirit out among all His children, and we will have dreams and visions. And a lot of us are having dreams and visions, but it's a lot of carnal people in the world that believe these things, but they don't really experience these things. You see what I'm saying? They haven't gotten to that place. And I'm not saying every person is supposed to have a dream or visions, but it should be somewhat normal in your life that you're hearing from God in any type of way. You should be hearing from God in some way. You know what I mean? And it's too many people that are focused on the wrong things, bro. Like, where is your relationship? Where is your relationship with Christ? Where is the details of your relationship? What is He showing you? What is He telling you? And a lot of people want to use the knowledge that they have to be like, oh no, I know more than you. But in actuality, are you talking to God in the spirit? Is He showing you things? Is He sharing things with you? Is He allowing you to see things that He doesn't show everybody else? Are you humbly walking in a relationship with Christ? Are you really doing the works to get you those things to be in a relationship? And I for one don't ever put that above anything, because that relationship can be a real relationship, but that doesn't mean that you're guaranteed salvation and all of these things. But because it tells you the people that will be casting demons out in Christ's name and all of these wondrous works they will be told to depart from me. But these things that we are operating in, we should be operating in the gift. This is more so of the New Testament. This is New Testament talk. So my point is, the relationship of Christ matters. When you are in judgment, most people don't have a strong relationship with Christ, and they're not hearing from Him, because God gives us actual detailed instructions a lot of the times about what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to move. And if you only have a certain amount of knowledge, how are you going to hear from Him for what He wants you to do? You're supposed to have an individual relationship with Christ. And that's why I understand sometimes where people say relationship over religion, because at the end of the day, when Christ says, depart from me, I never knew you, that means you didn't have an actual relationship. You didn't have a real relationship. Because in order for you to have a relationship with Him, He has to know you. He has to know you. So, I think the relationship, we have to work more on really doing the works of God and doing the things of God, so we can get to that point of our relationship. And also, I forgot, repentance is another one. That's another big one, because judgment is here. Judgment is a mist. And there's so many things. I made a video on TikTok basically talking about how all of the stories of Hurricane Katrina are on TikTok, and I just been seeing it on my FYP, seeing it on my TikToks, and I'm just like, bro, God is showing us this for a reason. He is so intentional about everything. I mean, it's been 20 years since the Hurricane Katrina took place, and it's just really, really interesting how everything is connected because it's almost like a foreshadowing. He's showing all of these Hurricane Katrina stories and unveiling things that we never even knew about, those stories, about individual stories and what they experienced. And the timing of it is so crazy because we hear about all these tsunami warnings in California and possible earthquakes, and we're still awaiting that big earthquake that never took place yet, that hasn't taken place yet, and we're still waiting for that. And when earthquakes happen, tsunamis come right after. So when I seen those Katrina videos, it was so interesting, the timing of it, because I see how things are coming about. And then we also been seeing so many different floods in other places, Florida, North Carolina, like last year, a couple years ago. For a couple years, there's been a lot of different floods, but it's a lot more bigger things coming at a bigger rate than normal. So we have to really prepare ourselves. Are you really understanding how to talk to God, how to pray to God, and really hear from Him? Sometimes I need to get an extra confirming thing from God to understand what He's saying to me. But it's so important because I haven't had so much peace in my life since I really built my relationship with Christ, and that was about almost 6 years ago, into 2019. That's when I really started hearing from God, and I want to share that with people because it shows you how to evade the stuff that we go through every single day. You know what I mean? The things that we were tormented with every day because we had open doors, and we had open spiritual doors to our lives, and we had all this wickedness, all these wicked people in our lives, causing us to fail, causing us to lose everything. And we don't want to be caught in that bind, you know what I mean? Because it gets to a place where you just give up, and there is a way out. That's the whole point of having the faith that you do in Christ, because a lot of us don't think there's a way out of the things that you're going through. But since we're in a season of judgment, you want to be able to evade that judgment. I always stress people to pray Luke 21:36, to pray that you are worthy to escape the things to come. And you have to really seek God to see if you are worthy. What are your fruits? What have you been doing? How intentional are you with the things that you are doing in your own life? How intentional are you to help people understand, well, to help yourself understand, excuse me, to help yourself understand the things of God, we you don't realize how intentional you have to be when you are walking with God. Just be intentional. And a lot of people think, well, I don't see the fruits, I don't see the things working out for me. How intentional are you? How intentional? What do you have to do? You know, we are to fulfill the law is to love our brother, love our neighbor. That's what we do. So I make it my business to help a brother out in every chance I get. We are supposed to help the poor. We're supposed to help our neighbor. These are people that we know. These are people that we see. Help them out when you can. God is looking at what you are willing to do. He's looking at the obedience. You have scriptural obedience, and then you have obedience from the Spirit, what God is saying to you specifically. But the things that we see in the Bible, these are things that we're supposed to be doing all the time. You don't need intervention from God to tell you certain things. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do. But a lot of the times, we already have it. The word is right there. There's so many different rules to follow to help, and spiritual laws that He gives us to show us how real these things can take place in our life, and what they can do for us as well. Because the things He tells us, you have to look at it as a spiritual law We're not looking at it as a carnal law, because when he says in Psalms, I believe it's Psalms 43, when he says to give to the poor and he will protect you from your enemies, you have to do one thing for another thing to be activated. That's how real the law is. It's spiritual. I haven't been touched by an actual enemy in so long that I really forget that I even have enemies, because I'm dealing with them in the spirit, and I'm dealing with them through the works that God shows, tells me to do. He shows me that if I do one thing, then another thing will happen. So part of that law is somewhat carnal, because you are doing something in the physical to help somebody, but that protection is divine, it's spiritual. You see what I'm saying? That protection from your enemy by giving to the poor is spiritual. He protects them. He redirects them when you probably have a mass murderer hunting you, plotting on killing you, and they finally, going to make that move after a year of plotting, and you consistently helping people, giving to the poor. God is going to redirect that man or woman to sit down, to forget about you. He's going to put it in their mind that, you know, just for a moment, that you don't even exist. God is that powerful for him to turn an event from happening. He can cause anything to not happen. If he wants it to happen, then he will allow it. But if he doesn't, if he knows that you are doing what you're supposed to do, and it's not just necessarily just based on what you are supposed to do, but it's more so of the timing of God, what God allows and what he wants you to learn. And so when you're consistently working for God and doing these things and working these principles, you are dealing with something behind the scenes. You are actively, sometimes not even realizing that you are working against the things that are being plotted behind your back. Do you see what I'm saying? You're fighting another fight that is protecting you by obeying the voice of God, by obeying the things he wants us to do. So just by you doing simple things for other people sometimes can grant you the protection from your enemies. That's in Psalm 43. So just to simplify that. But that's just an example of spiritual laws and how they work for us. And we have to get familiar with that. So getting to know God in judgment can be a hard thing, because these are principles that we have to work. The ones the example I just gave you, we have to start working those in the judgment, and we don't even realize how much it's going to affect us. The judgment will affect us, and if we are not doing stuff like this, God is waiting for you to do it. He's waiting for you to do it, even in the midst of the judgment, even in the midst of you feeling down and feeling bad and being attacked, being harmed by these natural disasters. He's looking at your heart and how you're willing to do for others, not just in that moment, but what are you going to learn from the things that happens when you're in judgment? What are you going to learn? So are you going to, after everything is done, after you've been afflicted with the judgments of God, are you going to continue to walk in the things that you learn by helping other people, by doing other things in other spiritual laws that that God requires of us? And I stress this because, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's a lot to be able to have to process when you realize that God is actually real. He is looking at you. He is accounting certain things to you. And now you have to get in your best posture to fix your life around. A lot of us already knew these things, and we saw it before. We experienced our own personal hell for us to see and to lock in to God, in the realm of God and what he wants and requires from us. You see what I'm saying? Not just by reading the Bible, but by experiencing the Bible, by actually being intentional and correcting our own selves and being convicted by God and realizing the patterns that God speaks in, because he'll keep putting you in the same situation until you realize, like, hold on, this is all spiritual. This is a pattern. So we locked in. A lot of us locked in years ago because we saw it for what it was. We saw the truth, and that's why God tells us he chastises the ones that he loves. So you have, even whatever judgment that you are in, if you are feeling like you've been chastised, you should be so thankful for that, because the creator of the universe loves you enough to correct you. So now it's up for you to lock in. You see what I'm saying? And I don't want to drag this video on for too long, so I'm going to head on out. That's it. That's all. I'll be back with another video, guys. I hope this edified you. I hope this helped you. I want you to pray on this and really understand what judgment is about and what we are to do, how we are supposed to please God through our faith. And that's another one. That's another thing. That's the most important thing, through our faith. Even the things that we do, the works that we do in our flesh, we do it through faith. When we give to someone, we do it in faith that God has seen us. You see what I'm saying? We don't need a bunch of different men or women looking at us for us to do something for someone else. We don't need their validation. We only need God's validation. So through that validation, that was through the faith that we did it. We did it in secret. That's why God tells us that he wants us to do things in secret. We're supposed to give in secret. We're supposed to pray and intercede in secret. We're supposed to fast in secret. So when you do things in secret for God, that means you have a lot of faith. Do you understand? That's because you're not looking for the validation of men. So that's secrecy almost equals faith in a way. So I just wanted to add that little nugget in there. So guys, I'll be back with another video soon, and I just wanted to help you understand the season that we're in and what we should be doing to better ourselves when I walk with Christ. All right, I'm out.